people are kind of fed up. This goes to the Democrats as well with their push for voting rights, but it goes to so much more than that. It goes to schools, it goes to crime, it goes to costs. People are really fed up right now. There's a creeping fatalism that has set in with some people, but by and large, it has more to do with the lecturing tone of the left in this country and their denial of reality. If you're just tuning in, I'm in the hot seat on social media right now because I tweeted this morning that the left wants you to show your photo ID and Vax card to get into a grocery store, but thinks it's racist to show it for photo ID. And they're burning me alive on Twitter, so to speak, because I said grocery store, and actually the rules have exempted grocery stores. But if you want to go to a restaurant, you want to go to a gym, you want to go to a bar, you want to go to a lot of places in this country, including theaters, they want you to show your vaccine card and they want to show your photo ID, and yet they think it's racist to show your photo ID. And the response from people on Twitter on the left is, no, it's not. That's not true. That's not true. Shut up. Misinformation, disinformation. That's not true. Except it is. Now, I shouldn't have said grocery store. I was wrong there, but I corrected it, and they're still mad, even at the correction. They want to shut up anyone who disagrees with them. They want to shut up anyone who contradicts their narrative. They want to censor. They want to punish. They want to cancel. And the public is getting fed up with it. Even progressives are starting to get fed up with it. There was a story I read the other day about Hollywood. In Hollywood, a lot of people in Hollywood are pretending to be as woke as possible because they're scared of the mob, and yet there's a seething resentment in the undercurrents. That seething resentment always has a way of spilling out. And in society at large, it is spilling out with a Hispanic shift to the GOP. Hispanic voters in this country are furious with Democrats for demeaning them, treating them as a class group, calling them Latinx. Believe it or not, there is no such thing in the United States as a Latino or a Hispanic voter. There's not. There is not. Now, follow along with me here, because this, again, will get progressives mad at me. There are no Hispanic or Latino voters in the United States. There are Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Hondurans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, Panamanians, Colombians, Venezuelans, Brazilians, Argentinians, Chileans, Peruvians, Bolivians. There are a whole lot of voters who have immigrated to this country from unique nations. There is no nation of Hispaniola. There's an island, but there's no nation. There is no Latino land. There may be Latin America, there may be South America, but in Democrats' class warfare and the Democrats' identity politics, they've lumped all of these people with unique life stories, each of them a different story leading their families to immigrate ultimately to the land of the free and the home of the brave. And the Democrats have chosen to lump them all together as up. They're Latino. They're our voters. And now they don't even have the credence or credibility or moral sustainability to call them Latino. They call them Latinx, to placate a bunch of white, progressive, college-educated people who don't know whether or not they're a boy or a girl. And it's driving these voters to the GOP, where they're not treated as Latino, Latinx, or Hispanic, but as Americans who want jobs and want to be safe and want their kids in schools where their kids learn good business skills, how to read, how to write, how to do math, and not how this country is a terrible, terrible country filled with racists, and they are a class warfare victim of whitey. Hispanics are fleeing to the GOP. Younger black men fleeing to the GOP. By the way, this is one reason the Democrats are screaming about racism and voting rights. They're trying to keep these young black men who are fleeing to the Republicans from fleeing. They want them with the Karens of the world, the white progressive elite who yell at you at the grocery store if you got your mask on crooked. There's growing anger. And it's happening in school boards. We see it happening in school boards as parents show up at school boards and they're tired of school closures. They're tired of their toddler having to wear a mask to preschool. They're tired of critical race theory. They're tired of indoctrination instead of education. These parents had to sit home with their kids during COVID and heard what they were actually learning, and they're furious. And the lower and lower middle class voters who are black and Hispanic and white, whose kids couldn't go to school, they had to give up on jobs or they had to leave their kids home, and many of them did not have access to the laptops that were required for the Zoom calls. And it put them further behind. Doug Ducey, the governor of Arizona 2 days ago at his State of the State address in Arizona, said 60 years ago, people stood in front of the schoolhouse door and blocked minority students from entering, and now they're standing in front of the school door, and they're preventing minorities from leaving. And people are furious. They got tired of the in-your-face nonsense in sports. They've come back now because it's gone away. They've gotten tired of seeing people burning down America, claiming that it was fiery but mostly peaceful protests. They've gotten tired of not being able to get their kids in school. They've gotten tired of all the shutdowns. They've gotten tired of all the lockdowns. They've gotten tired of all the mandates. They've gotten tired of the government changing their guidance on COVID every other day, depending on what the teachers' unions ask the government to do. They've gotten tired. The Hispanic voters have gotten tired of being lumped in as a class group as if they're all one homogenous group when they are individually unique people from individually unique nations, all of them with unique life stories on why they came here. And there's going to be hell to pay because of it for the Democrats. The Democrats are held hijacked by white secular elites. They don't go to church. They don't believe in Jesus. And they believe that they get to decide for themselves whether they're a boy or a girl, and you're a bigot if you don't agree with them. Americans realize the cultural elite in this country, the progressive elite who control the Democratic Party, have gone insane. And they don't intend to let the crazy people govern the country. That's what we're seeing right now. People understand it. People understand this nonsense about the transgender agenda. They understand it's nonsense when on Twitter you can't call Bruce Jenner because he changed his name to Caitlyn. And you sure as hell can't say he's actually still a man. Talk about the 10-year challenge, by the way. Everybody putting up their pictures of what they looked like 10 years ago and today. I think Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner wins. But America loses as the left embraces insanity. And there's a rebellion afoot among the people, and we saw it in Virginia. We've seen it in special elections. We're seeing it at school board meetings. And all the Democrats can do, all they can do is, the one card they play is the race card. And they scream everything is racism, everything is bigotry, everything is hate. No, actually, the voters have common sense, and the Democrats don't. And this is going to cause a profound shakeup in the American political landscape this year. As the Democrats, they lost how to do politics as they got hijacked by their far left base that has decided we don't need a mandate, we don't need a majority, we're right, and we can bulldoze through. No, you can't. The systems of this country are set up so Donald Trump was unable to throw out the 2020 election, and you are unable to throw out by yourself the rules of the Senate when you only have 50 senators to help you. Gridlock is a feature, not a bug of the system. And the more progressives agitate against it, it's like one of those Chinese finger traps where you stick your fingers in. The more you pull, the harder it is to get out. The more the Democrats pull on the system, the harder it is for them to get anything done. And the midterms are coming, and there will be hell to pay.